All right, ladies, let's be real. How many times have you sent what you thought was a very clear, I'm interested signal, only for him to respond like you just handed him a tax form instead of a flirt? Yeah, that happened. The thing is, your body, your texts, your subtle smiles, even your sarcasm are basically a whole soap opera of signals. And men? They're tuned into the wrong channel. Here's the deal. It's not that men are dumb, and it's not that you're sending the wrong vibes. It's biology, psychology, and decades of social conditioning colliding in the most confusing way possible. Hormones fluctuate. Anxiety grabs the steering wheel, and suddenly a playful wink or a teasing comment becomes a cryptic puzzle worthy of a CIA interrogation. In this video, we're diving deep into the most common female sexual communication mistakes that men just keep misreading. We're talking subtle cues, text messages, teasing, freeze responses, and even past emotional baggage, all with science, stories, and a little sarcasm. Because honestly, figuring out your own signals can be exhausting enough without pretending it's cute. So, if you've ever thought, why does he always get it wrong? Sit tight, because by the end, you'll know why men misread you, how your hormones play into it, and what to do to make yourself perfectly understandable without losing your personality. Mistake 1. Overthinking signals. Let's start with the classic, overthinking. Ladies, if you've ever spent 10 minutes analyzing whether your smile was flirty, polite, or please leave me alone. Congratulations, you're in the overthinking club. Your brain is juggling hormones, social rules, and sexual desire, and the result is usually a very confusing signal for anyone trying to read it. Here's the science behind it. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that's basically the CEO of decision-making, is busy running internal audits. Was that laugh sexy or nervous? Did I just tilt my head too much? Oh no, did I overdo it? Meanwhile, the amygdala, your emotional alarm system, is screaming, danger, don't get hurt. If estrogen is low and progesterone high, your brain's emotional thermostat is basically malfunctioning, making you second-guess even your own sexual interest. Your libido might say yes, but your ego and social reasoning are hitting the brakes. So when you're sending maybe signals, your brain is doing cartwheels, while your body is just standing there awkwardly. Now let's see how this plays out in real life. Imagine you're on a date, and he says something slightly cheeky. Your inner dialogue immediately kicks into overdrive. Did I laugh enough? Too much? Did I seem interested? What if he thinks I'm not into him? What if I look desperate? Your nervous system is firing on all cylinders, cortisol is up, and your signals are now a confusing cocktail of smiles, nervous hair twirling, and intermittent eye contact. From his perspective, it's like trying to decode Morse code from a jittery cat. He sees hesitation and mixed signals. He doesn't see your internal monologue of, I kind of like him, but also maybe not. Men, on the other hand, tend to process sexual interest in a more binary way. Yes or no, attracted or not. They're not wired to pick up on micro fluctuations in mood or subtle hormonal cues. So when you're overthinking, overanalyzing, or hesitating, they read that as disinterest or confusion. Not ideal, right? And yes, it's frustrating because you're literally sending the right emotional energy. It's just trapped behind a wall of analysis paralysis. Hormones don't make this any easier. Testosterone influences sexual assertiveness, estrogen affects mood and sociability, and progesterone can make your body say, stay calm, retreat slightly, even if your brain is shouting, go for it. So, depending on where you are in your cycle, your maybe signals can swing wildly from flirty and inviting to cautious and neutral, making your intentions nearly invisible to him. The takeaway? Your overthinking isn't just stressful for you, it's practically impossible for men to decode. Understanding how your hormones and brain wiring affect your subtle cues is the first step to fixing the communication gap. Sometimes less thinking and more direct, but still playful. Action is exactly what your signals need. Mistake 2. Using subtlety instead of clarity. Subtlety, the supposed hallmark of mysterious femininity. Hair flips, lingering glances, playful touches. The classics. You might think you're sending the clearest possible signal without saying a word. Meanwhile, he's staring at you like you just handed him IKEA instructions in Klingon. Yeah, subtlety is great in fashion, terrible in sexual communication. Here's the science behind it. Humans are social creatures, but men and women perceive social cues differently. Mirror neurons help us misread others, but the gap in interpretation between sexes is massive. When you toss a flirtatious eyebrow raise into the mix, your brain thinks, oh, he'll get it. But his brain is busy translating cues literally. She touched my arm, she's friendly, or maybe allergic to me. Men don't automatically decode layered signals. They see actions in isolation. Your subtle hint is basically a Rorschach test. Picture this, you're at a party, casually brushing your hand against him while laughing at his jokes. You're thinking, flirty enough without being obvious. He's thinking, she's nice, she likes hanging out. Maybe we're friends? Social conditioning doesn't help either. Women are trained from birth to be polite and non-confrontational, especially in mixed gender scenarios. That polite conditioning often overrides direct sexual communication. Your brain wants to convey interest without appearing too forward. But guess who misses the memo? Him. Hormones play a starring role too. Oxytocin spikes when you're feeling connected or playful, boosting affectionate gestures, but not necessarily clarity. Estrogen can heighten subtlety in social interactions, making micro-expressions seductive yet ambiguous. Testosterone in men, however, is looking for a green light, not a micro-flirt with optional footnotes. So your carefully choreographed hints often land as nothing, or worse, friendly confusion. There's a classic example in dating circles. She laughs nervously at his jokes, leans in slightly, brushes her hair behind her ear. All textbook flirty moves. He interprets it as simple politeness or self-consciousness. She leaves the date frustrated, thinking, how can he not know I'm interested? Meanwhile, he's just trying to read the obvious stuff without a decoder ring. It's like sending an encrypted text in hieroglyphs and expecting a literal response. The takeaway? Subtlety is fine if it's part of your personality, but relying on it to communicate sexual interest is basically a recipe for misreading. Men respond better to clarity, even when it's playful or cheeky. A little verbal confirmation, a confident touch, or an intentional glance that isn't hidden behind layers of social politeness can bridge the communication gap without turning you into a human neon sign. Subtle cues can be charming, but if your goal is for him to actually understand your interest and not just guess, directness is your best friend. Playful, confident, unambiguous gestures save both your mental energy and his guesswork. Mistake 3. Relying on texts and emojis. Texting, where nuance goes to die. In the digital age, so many women think they can convey sexual interest through a few carefully chosen emojis, GIFs, or suggestive texts. Winky face, heart, smirk. He'll totally get it, you think. Spoiler alert, he probably won't. Text is flat. No pheromones, no tone, no micro-expressions. Your digital flirt is just a string of pixels to him, and he's left guessing whether you're serious, joking, or just being friendly. Let's break down why. Our brains are wired for face-to-face communication. Mirror neurons, micro-expressions, vocal inflections. All of these are critical for reading intent. Text strips all of that away, leaving only literal words and symbols. The result? Misinterpretation city. That playful, smiley face you sent to test his interest, he might read it as sarcastic, confused, or even neutral. Your dopamine-fueled excitement is entirely invisible. Real-life scenario. Imagine she's trying to escalate things via text. She sends a cheeky, can't stop thinking about you at 11 p.m. In her head, the response should be immediate and hot. He responds with a polite, haha, you're funny, or lol. She spirals into overthinking. Does he not want me? Did I do something wrong? Meanwhile, he thought she was joking or just being playful. Her sexual interest is there, but the medium is completely misaligned with the message. Hormones intensify the stakes. Dopamine makes the anticipation of a reply feel like a personal roller coaster. Cortisol spikes if he doesn't reply immediately. Estrogen may heighten sensitivity to perceive social cues, so she's analyzing every punctuation mark like it's a personality test. Testosterone in men, however, often prioritizes direct action and physical cues. Digital hints are just background noise unless he's explicitly trained to interpret them. Then there's the emoji trap. A heart might scream, I'm interested to you, but to him, it could just mean friendly affection or casual flirting. A winky face. He could be reading it as playful sarcasm or teasing, not sexual intent. Add GIFs and memes into the mix, and you've got an entire novel of potential misreadings. Texting is fun, convenient, and low risk, but it's a terrible medium for clear sexual communication. The practical takeaway? Treat text as an appetizer, not the main course. Emojis, playful jokes, and GIFs can enhance attraction, but they can't replace in-person clarity. If you want him to actually know you're interested, add verbal cues, confident body language, or a clear invitation. Keep the flirt fun, yes, but don't rely on pixels to speak for you. Mistake 4. Fear of rejection, leading to passive signals. Here's one that quietly sabotages a lot of sexual communication: fear of rejection. Women often want intimacy, connection, or flirtation, but the nervous system isn't exactly helping. The freeze response, a survival mechanism, kicks in, leaving signals inconsistent, muted, or downright confusing. Essentially, your brain wants one thing, your body wants another, and he's left staring at a human Rorschach test. Here's the science. When we sense potential rejection, the amygdala lights up, cortisol spikes, and the sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, or freeze, takes over. Freeze is particularly tricky. Instead of running away or confronting, your body goes limp, your gestures are cautious, and your expressions are less revealing. You might want him to initiate, to escalate, or to recognize your interest, but your body is literally saying, let's play it safe. That nervous system conflict creates microsignals he can't reliably decode. Take a real-world example. She's on a date, attracted to him, and wants him to kiss her. But fear whispers, what if he misreads it? What if it's awkward? What if he thinks I'm too forward? So she freezes slightly when he leans in, laughs nervously at his jokes, and tilts her head like she's considering a chess move. From his perspective, she's ambiguous, hesitant, or uninterested. He hesitates, she notices, and now both of them are spiraling in a feedback loop of miscommunication. Hormones make this worse. Cortisol, as mentioned, heightens anxiety, while progesterone can nudge the nervous system toward caution. Estrogen fluctuations affect emotional sensitivity, making the freeze response feel more intense. Essentially, your body and your desire are on different pages, which can be both hilarious and frustrating. Your brain is thinking, yes, go ahead, while your body is whispering, maybe just wait a sec. Passive signaling is further complicated by social conditioning. Women are taught to be polite, careful, and considerate of male feelings. The result? Hesitation gets mistaken for lack of interest, subtlety becomes opacity, and his interpretation leans toward, she's just not that into me. It's a biological and cultural misalignment playing out in real time, and it's exhausting. The takeaway? Fear of rejection is natural, but leaving your signals passive is a trap. Playfulness, direct verbal hints, and confident gestures help override the freeze response without compromising personality. Recognizing the nervous system's role in hesitation gives you power. You can consciously inject clarity into your signals while still keeping things flirtatious. Being aware of this dynamic not only helps men understand you better, it also helps you feel more in control of your own sexual expression. Mistake 5. Misinterpreted humor or teasing. Let's talk about flirting with humor, the part where you try to be playful, cheeky, or slightly sarcastic, thinking he'll pick up on the sexual tension. And then he doesn't, not even close. Suddenly, your carefully crafted jokes are landing as casual friendship banter, and you're left thinking, how is this so hard? Well, here's why. Humor is protective, social, and often coded. Your flirtation is a puzzle. His brain is scanning for a literal solution. Here's the psychological breakdown. Humor is a social buffer. It signals warmth, intelligence, and approachability while minimizing vulnerability. You tease him, crack a joke, or drop a sarcastic comment, hoping to hint at attraction without appearing too eager. But men tend to interpret playful teasing literally. A sarcastic compliment meant to say, I like you and find you hot, can come across as, she's just joking, or we're just friends. Your micro-expressions, raised eyebrows, slight smiles, playful glances, carry the sexual context, but he may not register them. Picture a real scenario. She teases him about his messy hair, smirks, and flicks her hair in a way that feels electric to her nervous system. She's essentially saying, I'm interested, come closer. He laughs, shrugs, and says, yeah, completely missing the flirtation. Estrogen and oxytocin are collaborating to make her signals sweet, playful, and emotionally engaging, but without direct cues, they get lost in translation. Her sexual intent is wrapped in humor, and he's reading only the literal gift wrap. Men's interpretation is further skewed by cognitive shortcuts. Testosterone-driven brains often prioritize action over subtlety. They look for clear permission or direct cues. If a joke doesn't clearly signal consent or interest, they default to safe, neutral interpretations. Meanwhile, women's flirtation is enhanced by micro-expressions that communicate desire almost subconsciously. The mismatch creates a communication gap that can make women feel frustrated and men feel puzzled. The practical takeaway? Teasing and humor are powerful tools for sexual signaling, but relying on them alone is risky. Pair playful banter with gestures that are unmistakably sexual, a light touch on the arm, leaning in with confidence, or even a verbal hint that complements the joke. You can keep your personality intact, maintain charm, and still be understood. Humor should enhance attraction, not obscure it. Clear signals don't kill playfulness, they amplify it. When you align micro-expressions, gestures, and verbal cues, men finally get the memo without you having to compromise your personality or come across as too forward. Mistake 6. Emotional baggage affecting signals. Here's a sneaky one. Past heartbreak, attachment styles, or emotional trauma quietly sabotaging your sexual communication. You could be genuinely attracted, fully ready to engage, but your brain is running a security check on every move. The result? Mixed signals that confuse him and make you feel frustrated with yourself. Let's get scientific. Attachment theory explains a lot here. Women with anxious attachment may crave intimacy, but overanalyze every reaction, fearing rejection. Avoidant types might pull back just when desire spikes, creating a push-pull that reads to men as not interested. Both patterns are rooted in past experiences that rewired the brain's response to intimacy. The amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex form a cocktail that constantly evaluates threat versus reward, sometimes overriding sexual desire entirely. So even when your hormones are saying yes, 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 your emotional history may hit pause. Picture this. She's on a date, attracted to him, and enjoying the chemistry. A compliment lands, and her past experiences whisper, "Don't get too close, he might hurt you." Instantly, her gestures become smaller, her laughs more cautious, her eye contact fleeting. He interprets it as disinterest. Her nervous system is firing warnings, while her libido is trying to push forward. Estrogen and oxytocin are primed for bonding, but cortisol spikes, triggered by emotional baggage, hijack the moment. She wants to communicate interest, but fear and habit are creating a static signal. This isn't just internal. Men often mirror our signals. If they sense hesitation, they naturally step back. So the loop continues. She pulls back because of anxiety or fear. He hesitates because he senses uncertainty, and attraction stalls despite mutual interest. The misreading isn't personal. It's biological, psychological, and painfully common. The takeaway? Recognizing how emotional baggage shapes signals is crucial. Awareness lets you consciously override automatic defensive responses without losing authenticity. You can maintain your personality, keep things playful, and inject enough clarity to bridge the gap. Sometimes it's as simple as leaning into the moment, verbalizing desire lightly, or giving him gestures that are unmistakably direct. Emotional history doesn't have to dictate the present, but ignoring it guarantees ongoing miscommunication. Understanding this dynamic empowers women to be both emotionally safe and sexually expressive. It's about balancing your instincts, your history, and your signals, so men finally understand your intent without you sacrificing who you are. Once you grasp this, misreading becomes rare, and intimacy becomes intentional rather than accidental. So let's wrap this up. Overthinking signals, relying on subtlety, texting with emojis, freezing out of fear, playful teasing gone wrong, and emotional baggage. All of these create a perfect storm where men just don't get the message. It's not about being obvious or too forward. It's about understanding how biology, hormones, psychology, and past experiences shape the way signals are sent and misread. Awareness is your superpower. Here's the good news. You can keep your charm, your playfulness, and your personality while still being clear. A wink, a touch, a confident word, or a playful verbal hint goes a long way. Recognizing how your hormones, nervous system, and emotional history influence communication lets you intentionally bridge the gap instead of letting confusion take over. And yes, sometimes that means consciously stepping into clarity, even if it feels slightly awkward at first. I want to hear from you. Comment below with your experiences, times he got it wrong, times it was hilariously misread, or moments where clarity saved the day. I promise to personally respond and share insights with you. And don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. This isn't just content, It's a conversation between us, and I want you part of it. Next time, we're diving into the hormonal secrets men never notice during sex. Yes, those subtle chemical shifts that change your libido, mood, and attraction in ways he has no clue about. You won't want to miss it.